In this video, you'll learn about how the periodic table is organized. Pause as often as necessary so that you can take notes and fill out the homework sheet. If you did not get to the vocab stations today, please fill out your vocab side as you follow along in this video. The first periodic table was formulated by Mendeleev, who grouped the elements together by its mass. He discovered that the elements in the same groups had similar properties. Have you ever wondered where the periodic table got its name? Well, period or periodic means in repeating pattern. So he discovered that the elements in the same families had repeating similar patterns. The periodic table is organized by groups for families and also by periods. The groups or the families are the vertical up and down columns in the periodic table. There are a total of 18 groups in the periodic table, and these groups share similar chemical properties. For example, everything in group 1, highlighted in green, will share the same properties. Everything in group 2, in blue column, will share the same properties, so on and so forth, until you reach the 18th group in blue. So how will you remember that groups or families are the one that goes up and down? Well, one of the ways that I remember is if you take a group or family photo, you have to kind of stand next to another person and you stand up and down, right? So you take a photo like this, and so that's the one way I can remember. The periods are the horizontal row of elements in the periodic table. They go left and right. See the alternating colors of green and blue? Each one of those are periods. There are a total of 7 periods, got cut off, in the periodic table. How will you remember that period is the one that goes from left to right or horizontally like this? Well, I think about it like this. When you write a sentence like this is a sentence, you go left to right like that, and you put a period at the end. So that's one way I can remember. Since the sentences are written horizontally left to right, and at the end you have a period. Hence, period is left and right. A metal is an element that is shiny and conducts heat very well. We learned this in the last lesson. They're also malleable and they're ductile. You need to write that down. Metals are found between groups 1, this is group 1, to 15, this is group 15, on the left side of this staircase. If that blue thing is a staircase, it's all of these. So anything that is marked green in this periodic table are metals. Notice that hydrogen is the only one on the left side of the staircase that is not a metal. If you haven't already done so, give me some examples of metals using your periodic table. The hint in this case is that it's any of these elements that's in green color. Alkali metals are the elements of group 1, the first group right here. They're so soft that they can be cut with a knife, but they are very violent. They react violently with water. And they also have one valence electron. They only have one electron on its outermost shell. Notice again, hydrogen is not an alkali metal because it is not a metal. So leave that one out. Hydrogen is not a metal. But anything after hydrogen in the first column is considered as an alkali metal. Give me some examples on your vocab sheet using your periodic table of alkali metals. Alkaline earth metals are elements found in the second column. They have 2 valence electrons. They have 2 electrons on its outermost shell. Using your periodic table, give me some examples of alkaline earth metal. Nonmetals are any elements that conduct heat and electricity badly, poorly. They're on the right side of the staircase, so imagine if this pink thing is a staircase. So anything that is in yellow color in this periodic table are considered nonmetals. Using your periodic table, give me some examples of nonmetals in your vocab sheet. Transition metals are also metals, so they're both shiny and conduct heat very well, just like the other 2 metals that we already talked about. But unlike alkali and alkaline earth metals, transition metals are less reactive. They're found between groups of 3 through 12. So if this is 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth, okay? The reason that they're not as reactive is because they do not give away their electrons as easily. So anything found in between, so look, here's something high and it goes up again. Anything in between right here that kind of dips is called transition metal. They're called this because they're transitioning their way into becoming a nonmetal. Look at the highlighted area in blue. Give me some examples of transition metals in your vocab sheet using your periodic table. The lanthanides are shiny reactive metals that is used to make steel. The key word here is that they're used to make steel. On the periodic table, you'll find that somewhere along here and here in between, there might be a star or something, and then it has a series number. Usually, lanthanides are from 57 to 70. Or on some periodic tables, you might see them going from 58, element 58, to element 71. They took it out from here so that the periodic table would not be really, really long. If you fit this one back in to where it belongs, then the periodic table becomes much, much larger. Give me some examples of lanthanides using your periodic table in your vocab sheet. The actinides are found right here on the bottom. These are actinide series, and they're usually elements 89 to 102. But again, some periodic tables may show you actinide series from 90 to 103. All of the elements in the actinide series are radioactive, which is to say that their nucleus is unstable. So how will you remember that actinides are radioactive? In the word radioactive are letters A-C-T, act, active, and A-C-T, actinides, and that's how you can remember. Give me some examples of actinides using your periodic table in your vocab sheet. Carbon is a very important element. It is the 6th element on the periodic table. It's located right here, and it is the first element of group 14. Actually, this entire group is named after carbon. This group is just called carbon group. Carbon makes up all living things like you and me. It makes up fossil fuels, which is made from old plants, and even diamonds. Oxygen is another important element that you should remember. It is the 8th element on the periodic table, and it is the first element on group 16. The entire group 16 is called the oxygen group after oxygen. Oxygen is the most abundant element on Earth. In fact, it makes up 47% of the entire Earth. Halogens are very reactive nonmetals in group 17. They combine most readily with alkali metals right here, except for hydrogen, so not hydrogen, but right here, to form salt. The reason is that they have 7 valence electrons, which is to say 7 electrons on its outermost shell, and alkali metals only have 1. And recall that our octet rule, all elements want to have 8 electrons on its outer shell, so they will force alkali metals to give up 1 and give it to halogen. Give me some examples of halogen gas using your periodic table in your vocab sheet. Noble gases are non-reactive nonmetals found in group 18. They have 8 electrons on its outermost shell, on its valence shell, so it does not need to do anything with its electrons. They're full, so they sit around and do nothing because they're nobles. Give me some examples of noble gases using your periodic table in your vocab sheet. Okay, time for a self-check. Pause this video and see if you can answer these questions on your own. Question 1. How many periods are there? Did you answer 7? Then you got it correct. Good job. How many groups or families are there? There are 18. Good. What is the difference between periods and families? The periods are the ones that go like this, right? Because at the end of a sentence, horizontally, I put a period at the end. And families, when you take a family portrait, you have to stand up. So they're the ones that go up and down like that. Good. What are some characteristics of alkali, alkaline earth, halogen, and noble gases? Look in your vocab sheet and review. Great job, everybody. See you next class.